Hello and welcome to the next game in our scrim schedule. Today we're going to have the uh, Florida Harmony versus the NYXD. Now we're gonna go over and see how they're doing. Right now we are currently getting the lineups figured out. We've got Florida Harmony with all of the Mayhem icons, just as we saw yesterday, and we are filling in the NYXD team. It does look like we're going to go to King's Row to start off the match. King's Row is, of course, a fan favorite map that I always enjoy seeing. I always enjoy casting. Yesterday, Astro Librium and I casted a game on this featuring Florida Harmony. So I'm very excited to see them play in that map again. They had a strong showing, and I'm also very excited to see NYXD because I haven't seen them play yet. So it'll be very interesting to see how this dynamic goes. Now, interestingly enough, we do have a lot of funny character names on the side of NYXD. One of their players mentioned that both Kmart Kaiser, Despacho, and Meat Chip have gone with pretty unorthodox font, as has Noaim, as I imagine that has to be spelled. Atheist Jesus has gone with modified Leet Speak. It does look like we're actually going to go to Nambani. Which, honestly, I really like Nambani. As a former Ana main from Season 2, because, boy, the Season 2 meta was fun. It wasn't. It was bad. I love playing Ana. She's just so much fun, and Nambani, point A at least, is something you can play her a lot on the defense. With the high ground, she can get shots on pretty much anyone, any of her team, any of the offense. It's also a really good place for multiple kinds of defense. You can run a dive defense, which is one of my favorites. You have a Winston, Diva, Genji, Tracer all on the high ground, and then they all jump as soon as someone peeks for the attack. But you can also run Orisa Hog. You can even run like an Orisa Bastion or a Torbjorn. I know that can be really strong, even in like master games. Just a turret with a shield can honestly be enough to hold that point. Or you can run just standard death ball, try and get as much charge as you can in the choke. On attack, you have similar strategies. You have a lot of options. So we'll see what options these teams go with. The teams have been named, and it looks like we are going to go in soon. Does look like it's taking a little bit longer to set up due to some comms issues, but this game will be started up soon enough. It does look like they have just been fixed, so it looks like we are going to jump into it. And we're off to Numbani. We're gonna see if the attacking team can push this payload. There's something in it. I'm not actually entirely sure what's in there after the Doomfist Gauntlet used to be in there and was promptly stolen by Doomfist himself. It's been replaced with something that I'm not sure we actually know, but I believe it is something of Eevee's. It might be another bongo. But in any case... Oh, there she is. The Lucio concert's over. It's all Eevee now. We're gonna see how NYXD pushes this attack. Looks like they're gonna run a completely standard dive, which is a very solid idea on this map. There's a lot of verticality on the first point. I mentioned the Ana on the high ground. That's definitely something that, if that is the case, you want her off of that as soon as possible. And as we look at the other team, Florida Harmony is in fact running the Ana. They're also running a Torbjorn. They are running a Torbjorn with a Winston and D.Va, though. They have no barriers specifically for Atheist Jesus' turret. So I'm not sure how effective it will be. The optimal strategy here is the dive will distract the enemy team from the turret. Actually, that's a very good turret placement. They don't need a shield, because it will not fight the enemy team until they're on the point, which is actually very smart. We are actually going to start this attack. Looks like Dive is gonna try and start up the top left. And Communication has decided they're actually gonna go to the bottom. Oof, and yep, without a shield, the turret is gone immediately. Xenofan actually gets a second turret and Atheist Jesus himself, but it does look like kills are coming in for the Florida Harmony. While there were a lot of trades, it might be enough to hold on. Then again, the trades keep coming in, and eventually Florida Harmony is going to have the numbers. That was a good dive for them. Skip Bayless is about to have her mech back, so that's very good news for the defending team. Atheist Jesus, though, has 40% of his ult about, and he's putting up a new turret. I'm just not sure if it's going to be worth it in the long run, given how quickly it was destroyed and how quickly he was taken out. It looks like D.Va is cut out a little bit, but they are going to opt for a kind of like back high ground flank. Hunkrat's going to take out Kmart, though. And with 3% away from his ult, Atheist Jesus can go ham if he wants. No turret down, but it doesn't matter. He's got a hammer. He's going to try and fix that turret, but it's not going to be able to be upgraded with the damage it's taking. And even though he was in his ultimate form, it's not going to be enough. NYXD is going to take this point in a fairly solid time. Now I like the switch that Dragon just made. Dragon is now on Moira. The reasoning that I think is happening right now is now that they're on a payload, they don't need the Lucio speed boost, because they're gonna try and primarily stick onto the payload. That way, her healing, which is a lot more than Lucio, especially when it comes to people being grouped up on one particular spot, is gonna be really helpful. Atheist Jesus is putting up a little bit of a ambitious turret and gets stuck immediately. As the rest of Florida Harmony tries to defend down their DPS. Tempt is still here. He's putting in good damage. They can't shoot past the barrier or the defense matrix. And even with a Discord on Kmart Kaiser, he does survive. He's gonna use that big monkey form to take that little bit of health, turn it into 1,000. Atheist Jesus now on the Junkrat. It's a good thing that he swapped picks, although I think it was a little bit of a late swap. Tempt is going to use ult once the D.Va's out, but the bubble blocks most of it, and it's also not a very good positioning for that ultimate. But regardless, Florida Harmony is going to take this fight under the choke point, and they're going to get the first couple picks. Dragon opts to ult after the first two members of her team go down, which I don't think is a super smart idea, but she does get D.Va mech, and then Meat Chip gets 2. And then speak about a late support ult, Sungrat unfortunately transcends after everyone's dead. And it doesn't quite matter since the D.Va mech is not something you can heal. With 4 minutes left and about 10 meters away, they're going to try and push this payload all the way in the end. Florida Harmony does send out a D.Va mech though, and it does get Rebecca Joe. Here comes the Dragon Blade though. Does get 1, does get 2. Helps with the 3rd. And NYXD is making this look like a very close fight. But the spawn advantage is so in heavily favor of the Florida Harmony. It is now up to how fast NYXD can get the kills. Because even if they are getting kills, it doesn't matter if they're not fast enough. Tifa Bomb is going to take out Skip Bayless and No Aim, which is definitely going to swing things in favor of NYXD. Or Florida Harmony, rather. As they have gotten the respawns, and they are now able to finally push people off the point. They're running a Far Mercy now, which is a good idea against a Genji Tracer, as there's no specific counter to it. So the best you can hope for is Zenyatta's Discord on the Pharah with the Tracer. The dive is coming in though. But somehow Coalescence doesn't heal Kmart Kaiser. And it is not enough to keep him alive. NYXD is trying their best, but with 3 down, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to make this push. Despacho realizes this and is going to get out as quick as possible. Atheist Jesus is going to chase out with a damage boosted rocket. And this is definitely the pick that he needed to play. Junkrat was a decent pick, especially against anti-dive, or as anti-dive, but this Pharah has just been doing so much work to the point that Xenofan has swapped off to the Soldier. As which means he's not going to have any ultimate charge, but he is whittling Atheist Jesus down solo, but the healing from Mercy does come out. Hunkrat does keep Atheist Jesus up and well. The dive comes in onto the DPS. And there's one angry monkey. Atheist Jesus doesn't get anything off of that Pharah ultimate, as Rebecca Joes does transcend. And now NYXD is having a good showing. Oh, but he does get stuck. Tempt gets a double kill, including the support. That's huge for the NYXD. Or rather, the Harmony. Because meanwhile, NYXD is still getting kills. But again, don't think it's going to be fast enough to take this clean take.
My tactical visor is charging.
Pulse Bomb onto Skip Bayless is going to demech her. But this fairly uncontested Atheist Jesus is just having a field day with only Soldier and Zenyatta to do anything. Hunkrat does go down though, and Atheist Jesus has to avoid a attack visor, which leaves him an easy picking for Tracer. And it does look like finally NYXD will cap with just under a minute. All they wanted is to not go into overtime. As long as they didn't finish the win in overtime, that means that they will have time to attack the beginning point. They will have a minute to attack if this goes to another round after the Harmony attack. If you push the payload and it goes into overtime, that's essentially a possible death sentence. As if the other team pushes with a minute over, that means that the best you can hope for is a tie. And that's not a position you ever want to be in Overwatch. Being a Reinhardt player, I always wondered how he's supposed to fit in this bus. Buses are not built for big heroes. Now on the attacking side, the Florida Harmony is also going to run a standard dive featuring Atheist Jesus and Hunkrat as the Farm Mercy. They're both in their Lunar New Year skins, which is actually going to add a lot of synergy. The most important thing about Overwatch synergy is skins, obviously. If your skins don't match, you might as well not be playing. On the opposing team, we're going to have a kind of interesting version of anti-dive. We're going to have Reinhardt instead of Orisa with the Roadhog. Try and stop any flankers before they can do any work. We do have Kmart Kaiser in the Outlaw skin, which is not NYXL. That might hurt his Reinhardt in the long run. We do have Despacho and Dragon on the... Actually, Dragon's up here with the team. Typically Ana's over here where Despacho is. But in any case, fairly good positioning, especially from Rebecca Joe. The dive does come in though, and I'm not sure there's going to be any peel for the Zenyatta. And as I say that, Xenofan's Junkrat just flies in and gets the job done. Rebecca Joe does go down anyway though, as D.Va finishes off the kill. Despacho's having a pretty hard time against Tempt, but he does get the healing. And Tempt is forced to back away. Losing only the Zenyatta is exactly how you want to run this kind of fight. Zenyatta is the least mobile hero, so losing him and no one else, that's definitely a win. Florida Harmony's regrouping for a second attack. Let's see what direction they opt to go in. With the Farm Mercy, you can opt for a pincer attack. But they may just decide to go in a single direction.
You should be at peak performance level.
Oh, it does look like that's exactly what's happening. The main team is going to go main, while Farm Mercy goes around the outside left. Hunkrat is very low health though, as Roadhog's doing some sharpshooting. And this is exactly what the Harmony want, or NYXD. Roadhog, Meat Chip, is 1v2ing the Farm Mercy, which is honestly huge for his team. That makes his team fight a 5v4. The fact that he could stall out Farm Mercy for so long, not even get the kill, as long as he took that pair out of the fight, that's huge for his team. Does look like Atheist Jesus is gonna go through the main route. He does have to watch out for Despacho, who does have Tac Visor and has a very good chance of being nanoed. The dive does come in though, and Rebecca Joe goes down immediately. Here comes the Nano Visor. Does get Atheist Jesus. Hunkrat goes down otherwise. And now we have a sleeping Big Monkey who does get immediately woken up by the Roadhog. It's always frustrating when that happens, but he does die in the end.
Shots find their marks.
My ultimate's ready.
After that fight, the only ultimates on the side of NYXD are the Reptire, but coming up soon are Earth Shatter and Transcendence. That being said, Tempt gets a spawn camp onto Rebecca Joe and a pulse bomb kill onto Xenofan. This unchecked Tracer is doing so much work, stopping characters from getting to the point. Meanwhile, on the point, we've got a barrage ready. Despacho goes down. That's all of Atheist Jesus's contesting. And here comes the ultimate. There's one. Then Ana's low. Wolfie finishes her off. A tire comes in, but will it be enough? Atheist Jesus has to hide. Xenofan actually gets Hunkrat with the tire. And while this fight was so strongly in favor of the Florida Harmony, they weren't able to close it out or even get a single tick. With all the work that Tempt did in the back line and all the work that Atheist Jesus did, it just didn't seem to be enough. Despacho is getting close to his next ult. And with Atheist Jesus and Hunkrat without ultimate, he's going to be completely unchecked. Dragon's getting close to a nano as well. Oof, and with a good Discord orb, this is going to be a quick cleanup. Well, anything can happen, including the pulse bomb onto Rebecca Joe, who had Transcendence. It's definitely in favor of NYXD. Splasher is going to get chased down by the dive tanks, but Wolfie's going to go down. Skip Bayless is unmech'd. Tempt and Atheist Jesus are still here, though. They are going to contest. Xenofan is down, and now it's a C9. They could have taken that fight, but both Tracer and both Tempt and Atheist Jesus get off the point long enough to lose it, and that is so unfortunate. Play of the game is going to go to Meat Chip with that double Diva Bomb. And a headshot on to Skip Bayless beforehand. Very good showing from NYXD versus the Florida Harmony, who we saw perform very well yesterday. And one vote away from a legendary card, and Meat Chip gets it. 41 eliminations for over 60% kill participation. So let's go over what Florida Harmony could have done better. Well, first I do want to mention, because it is fresh in my mind, the Transcendence of Rebecca Joe. Rebecca Joe, in that last fight, definitely should have used Transcendence when the Pulse Bomb got stuck onto her. That is the time when you hit that Q button. Zenyatta needs to live, and he needs to use that Transcendence to protect the rest of his team. The only other ultimate that he needed to worry about was as far as Rocket Barrage that had already been used. So when you get stuck in that situation, you just gotta pop that Transcendence, especially the way that Rebecca Joe was getting spawn camped by Tempt. Another thing regarding that is that the team needed a peel for Rebecca Joe much sooner. They definitely needed at least one of the tanks or DPS to go back and make sure Rebecca Joe can leave spawn. Even the Junkrat Xenofan was not able to get out alive with that very good pulse bomb from Tempt. That being said, and Florida Harmony wasn't able to clear it out. The Florida Harmony defense was not great. I think a lot of that came down to Atheist Jesus' choice in DPS. We saw the Torbjorn just didn't work, and he was Torbjorn the first two phases. Not just the capture point, but also the streets phase. That just didn't work out, especially because there's no barrier to be in front of the Torbjorn turret. There's no Orisa, there was no Reinhardt, so it got destroyed immediately. We saw Tracer just rip through it. The switch to Junkrat was good. The switch to Pharah was excellent. It was exactly what they needed, but it was just too late. By the time that they had switched, it was already 10 meters away from the final point. With 4 minutes left, NYXD was able to clear that up with almost a minute remaining. Otherwise, I think the DPS play is certainly there, as we saw from the offense. Both Atheist Jesus and Tempt were doing very well. Maybe the tank play, I think just the synergy with the tanks, they need to dive targets at the same time. There were a few times when Rebecca Joe, and particularly Despacho, when they would dive, Despacho would live, which I think means that the dive was not as consistent or communicated as it could have been or should have been. As if Winston and D.Va dive one particular character, they should be dead. In pretty much any circumstances, barring a ton of healing getting put onto that target. So I'd like to see more communication between Wolfie and Skip Bayless, especially with Atheist Jesus on the Pharah. If you can get a direct hit rocket, especially damage boosted, onto a character, and then Winston dives that character's good as dead. They're just gone, deleted. Even D.Va, with their micro missiles and her flying. If you call out who you hit with a direct rocket, especially if it's squishy 200 health, that character should be dead in the next 2 seconds. So I would just like to see a lot more communication. Florida Harmony did seem to have a good sense of when the fights were lost. We did see Tempt backing off a lot, which I appreciate. So that's not quite the issue. I think it is just who we're going to dive, who we're going to focus, and when, and how. So I'd like to see that area be improved. But we are going to go to Hanamura next, which is, I think Temple of Anubis is the best 2CP, at least the least offensive 2CP. it's typically considered the worst map type, especially given the defensive spawns on the second point. Hanamura has two different spawn doors that people can go jump onto the point. We see Mei a lot just jump into an ice block to contest, and when the ice block's down, put up a wall. It's just very frustrating, especially with the tick system. But that is where we are going to go. For defense, it's typically best to run anti-dive. Orisa Hog is so strong, or Death Ball, Reinhardt Zarya. You can run dive defense. It's possible. It's just very difficult on this kind of choke point heavy map. This is typically something you would definitely want a big shield barrier for. As for offense, Death Ball, or I think dive would be a solid choice for attack on this map. But then you run into what is typically run anti-dive. So it'll be interesting to see how Florida Harmony and the NYXD take these fights. The game is going to be starting soon. And we're gonna roll on over. We have no substitutions on the sides of either team, which to me means that they have acknowledged their problems and are going to work on it, work on their issues within their team members. This doesn't seem to be a roster problem, just something that they're going to work on. And then here's the defensive spawn, one of the worst in the game. Here's where Genji quote-unquote died. And as bad as the defense is, this is one of the best offense points, I would say, in any 2CP map, if not the entire game. Horizon Lunar Colony has a very similar spot. But if you can get a Soldier or a Zenyatta up here, it's just so incredibly strong. Especially if your team's fighting on the point. There's no one who's going to be able to go up and contest you because they're busy contesting the point. So it's a very good place for Soldier to be.
Attackers incoming in 30
We're going to
seconds.
run exactly, actually, what I was thinking. We're going to run anti-dive. A Mercy to damage boost the Junkrat is very terrifying. That's a lot of damage, as much as Pharah does, but at a quicker rate if those shots land. Featuring the Hog Orisa pulled pork combo. On the other side, though, we are going to have Reinhardt, and we're actually going to have quad tank. Alright, I like it. There's no dive to be against if you're running 4 tanks. Heal everyone up, just walk onto the point. They're actually going to go onto this high ground. Junkrat's going to try and contest and send Hammer Kaiser almost to the other side of the map. But here they come, a good fire strike, it's a bunch. He is going to need to get healed though. Gets bubbled. And that is going to be a dead Orisa soon enough. Tempt gets a kill on a mech with 3 assists, that's huge. That doesn't quite get the pin. Atheist Jesus' tire does get taken out, as does Junkrat himself. This is going to be an incredibly quick take. Florida Harmony were just unprepared to hold this defense. As far as the Florida Harmony goes, Atheist Jesus needs to stay on the Junkrat. Tempt switches over to Reaper. These are very good DPS picks against a triple quad tank. I am interested into what the Orisa and Hog are going to do, as I'm not sure Orisa really has any answer to quad tank. Hog can try and get a pick to help with the DPS, but I think Orisa is not the best choice here. Atheist does go down though. And here comes a Graviton. It's going to pick up a bunch, and the kills are rolling in for NYXD again. That's a team kill. That's exactly what you want for this point. Missiles are going to fly into the spawn door, and that's going to be 6 minutes left for the next attack. That's humongous. That was a roll, a stomp. That was exactly textbook quad tank. They had the sustain, they had the damage, they had the healing. It's gonna be quite the uphill battle for Harmony to take this point, try to get a similar time, and then defend the next round if they're able to capture both points with time left. I'm not entirely sure what this stoplight is for. This is a very small street. The city planning seems to be pretty off here. Because honestly, given the size of some of these heroes, this is a sidewalk, not a road. That being said, maybe this is Hero 28. Hover car for Overwatch. In any case, it does look like Florida Harmony is going to go... well, I thought they were going to go dive, but they might opt for some Reinhardt Diva. But on the other hand, it looks like NYXD is entirely expecting quad tank against them as well, as nothing counters quad tank better than a Bastion. The barriers are gone, the health is gone. Can't really heal up a tank when you're taking 500 damage per second. Wolfie is going to swap back to the Winston, and they're going to go full dive, which is actually going to probably counter the NYXD pretty well. Although a trap does get tempted to start off the defense. That's going to be 10 seconds that they can't attack. But regarding the Xenofan on the Bastion, nothing counters Bastion better than a dive of Tracer, Genji, Diva, and Winston. If they can get on that Bastion and rip him apart, that's going to be huge. That's going to be so much DPS lost, and a lot of the stopping power. They do have to work 2 barriers, though. They're actually going to go to similar high ground as the NYXD. Going to try and drop down onto that Bastion, but some grenades to catch Atheist Jesus. And now the dive is too late, and they are just feeding the Bastion. They should not have gone and dived the Bastion once they lost Genji. Especially not in the, like, 1-by-1 way. And Wolfie, what are you doing? When that happens, the probably the best case scenario is to just stay up in this spot and wait for your team to come back. But in any case, they are going to take a full hard reset. Atheist Jesus is going to do a switch probably to one of those Pachimaris. He's going to switch to Junkrat to try and get the barriers down, but with as many barriers as they have, I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Arisa gets her shield every 8 seconds for 900 health. Reinhardt has that 2000 health barrier. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. And he immediately gets trapped. Despacho reading him like a book. He's got his tire ready. He's going to try and put a stop to this dive. I appreciate, though, that the Florida Harmony have been taking a different route every time. They realize what's not working, and they're switching it up. And they're actually waiting for their teammate, which is very smart. Let's see if Atheist Jesus is going to be able to make it back to his team. He's actually going to do some crossfire. He's going to try and get some grenades in while the rest of his team pushes. Well, it is just one Junkrat. It is a good pincer attack, and he does find Despacho immediately. And he does find the Bastion. Will the grenades pick it up? No, Bastion survives. With just over 100 health, the Xenofan's going to survive and get a pick as the supports jump off the cliff to reset. And this is such a good positioning on that point for Bastion. Just up to the corner, no one can get behind him. Atheist Jesus was very close, and I'm actually surprised that his death grenades didn't kill him.
My ultimate is charging.
Atheist Jesus does find the grenade that time, or the trap that time.
60 seconds remaining.
And he's got a tire of his own, but so does Despacho. Here it comes. finds Tempt. That's gonna slow Harmony down a little bit.
The hunter lays a trap for his prey.
But up here, no one will be able to contest him when he uses his tire. Hopefully, it's enough for the rest of Florida Harmony to push. Here it comes. And immediately onto Xenofan. Gamer is gonna do what he can, but now there's barriers on everybody. There's his Mercy is Valkyrying, and even though that was a good shatter, he has to block the bomb, and the Transcendence healing does come out for his team. And now it's finally going to be in favor of the Florida Harmony as they take this point. Into overtime, they are going to make it.
Objective lost.
And now they have 4 minutes to try and get this next point. Xenofan has swapped over to the Tracer. Gonna try and outdive the dive. Meat Chip onto the Zarya instead of the Orisa. Gonna take a more active role.
The objective is mine.
Does look like the dive is going to start soon, but they lose Tempt immediately. This is not a dive you want to take anymore. Wolfie actually ults, which is not what you want to do when you lose your dive. He is getting kills though. I'm just not sure it's going to be enough. He's about to get his third, it looks like. But where's the rest of his team? Where's his backup? It's just Wolfie on the point. Picks don't matter if the team is not there to follow up. And now Wolfie is down Primal Rage, something that he could have used to survive at a later fight. No aim is going to get away. And Dispatcher's already got another tire. Kmart Kaiser's looking for another Earth Shatter soon. They've got a lot of ultimates. Clearly, the ultimate advantage is in favor of the NYXD, despite the swaps that they did to characters. Meat Chip's already like 2/3 of his ultimate, which is crazy for Zarya. Here comes the dive, but again, it's Winston first, and then D.Va. That dive was not synchronized, and just made each of them very juicy targets. But Tempt actually goes back and gets the kill. And despite the little wonky dive, it does look like Florida might be able to take this with the picks that they're getting. Meat Chips is trying to get back. Barely survives with his charge, but here comes the tire. And it's going to get Skip Bayless. Transcendence is going to come out. And it does not look like Florida Harmony will be able to take this in the end, despite looking pretty strong. NYXD is going to be able to hold. At the very least, NYXD got a tick. But that was a tick at the cost of 2 minutes. They have less than 2 minutes to get 2/3 of the point, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it. Kmart Kaiser and Meat Chip have their tank ultimates. This can be huge to just put a stop to the attack. It does look like Florida Harmony is going to switch back over to the Far Mercy. Hunkrat's got Transcendence if he needs to pop it for one of these fights. They still have a handful of fights left, but they need to make sure that they count. And ideally get a minute. There's a lot of juicy targets over there, but the rockets aren't landing because of that Reinhardt barrier. And it just doesn't look like this is working out yet. They need some crossfire. Attempt is on the point though, but Atheist Jesus does get a whittled down Meat Chip. Atheist Jesus needs to find that Transcendence healing though. Tracer's low, but he doesn't get the pick because Xenofan takes him out. Does get rezzed though. Retire's gonna try and come out and takes out No Aim. That's the Mercy down. That's a lot of healing. Atheist Jesus is still getting picks, but it's still not fast enough as his team just isn't making it happen. Falls into the Graviton, and that's gonna be a cleanup. A triple Graviton. This Meat Chip has a good time. The Graviton damage actually kills Tempt. And now, the ultimate economy is looking so bad for Florida Harmony. They have no ultimates versus Kmart Kaiser, who still has yet to use Earth Shatter because he hasn't needed to. 2 more ultimates on top of that. Pulse Pump does come through and actually gets No Aim. That might be the final nail in Florida Harmony's coffin for this push. Tempt is going gonna try and fight on point, but he's low on healing. He's gonna find Despacho, but at 2 health, the recall doesn't even give him full health. Where's his Zenyatta? Pulse Bomb goes out, but misses entirely. And gets walloped by a Nano Reinhardt. That is going to be it. As 2 points go in favor of the NYXD.
Play of the game.
Xenofan is going to get play of the game. Or I suppose tagging and finishing a couple people off. I was hoping it would be one of the Gravitons, particularly for Meat Chip, especially the one that got 3, including a kill on the Tracer. Both Xenofan and Meat Chip get respective cards on the different Zaryas, which is very funny. It does look like we're going to go to the next map soon. So this was still a very tough game for the Florida Harmony. They had similar issues as last time. The dive wasn't as succinct as it could be. The communication didn't seem off. No aim got picked. It's probably more than he should have. The dive, or not, the peel needed to be there for him, especially for that pulse bomb right before the last fight. The fact that the pulse bomb landed on no aim attempt did a very good job, because that was just demolishing. Actually, never mind. That wasn't tempt. That was someone from NYXD. My apologies. But yeah, it was just so heavily in favor of the NYXD's quad tank. Having 6 minutes left on Anubis is insane, and they were able to defend, only losing 1 tick on point B. Florida Harmony does have a chance to come back, though. They have 2 more games and can try and force a tiebreaker, so we'll see if they're able to do that. In the meantime, I am going to take a short break. Hello, and we are back. We are going to come off of this break shortly, and we're going to go to a control point map. We are going by Community Cup rules, but I believe the map picking may be out of any map pool, just alternating teams. So we've got Oasis, we've got Lijiang, Nepal, two King of the Hills that don't matter, because those are the ones that people choose. So we'll see where we go from here. EPL is going to come in for Atheist Jesus. We're going to switch up the Florida Harmony roster just a little bit. No switches in for NYXD at this moment. Hopefully, Florida Harmony will be able to adapt and take a win here on King of the Hill. King of the Hill does favor the mechanically better team, as the maps are just mirrored. They're exactly the same on both sides. So hopefully Florida Harmony can come up with some good strats to be able to take this point. And we are going to go to Lijiang Tower. Control center is very good for triple tank. I think we will see that from NYXD. If not quad tank, they did that very successfully on Hanamura, which isn't something you see very often. That's definitely an unorthodox map, but they made it work. So we'll probably see that from them. I imagine we'll see a Far Mercy on Gardens from both teams, particularly Florida Harmony. While Atheist Jesus is not playing on the team anymore at the moment, I believe we will still see a Far Mercy. And on the night market, anything's a game. We might still see a Far Mercy, we might see a Rein Zarya, we might even see Quad Tank from NYXD or Florida Harmony. We'll see what they want to run, because that one has a lot more flexibility in what you can run. We will be jumping into the game shortly.
Now
And
arriving
we are
at
off
Lijiang
to
Tower.
Lijiang Tower. We're going to be starting on the night market, which again has a wide variety of comps you can run. I cannot read Chinese, so I do not know what any of this says. But I've always wanted to see these signs, especially whatever the hell this Pucci monstrosity is. But in any case, we're going to be starting this fight soon. Does look like NYXD is going to be running kind of like a dive slash anti-dive. They're going to be running Reinhog, trying to get those hook picks behind the Reinhardt barrier, as well as Xenofan and Despacho going out and trying to get picks on their own. Rebecca Joe is going to be able to heal the tanks very successfully, and Dragon's going to make sure they get there fast enough. On the opposing team, we've got a triple tank actually coming up from Florida Harmony, triple tank with a Tracer. This will be very interesting to see. This is very successful, at least in Season 2, having a Tracer farm ult off of the tanks. So we'll see how EPL, who's a tank player, as opposed to the DPS that was coming out from Atheist Jesus. Will do. The dive does come in. EPL is just gonna start swinging his hammer like a madman, but Xenofan gets the first pick. Both of the supports for Florida Harmony go down, and this is gonna be quite the hard fight to win without any healing. The only one with any healing is Roadhog, who's barely surviving. A suspect charge is gonna finish off EPL, and the fight is going to go in favor of NYXD. Xenofan actually has his ultimate already. That's huge. Dispatch is close to his. The only ultimate that's coming up on the favor of Harmony is EPL's Earth Shatter, which could make for a clean take. We'll see how well he's able to use it. He doesn't have it yet. EPL's doing good to hold up his shield. Doesn't want to fire strike and have his team get picked. He does get a charge onto Rebecca Joe, and a shatter is ready. It does get blocked by Winston's bubble, though. That's very unfortunate, as Despacho gets 2 picks on separate tanks. Finishes off the 3rd tank. Kmart Kaiser gets the Tracer. No aim, jumps off to reset, and that's going to be a pretty quick defense. Honestly, I think it all came down to that fight to Kmart Kaiser's perfect, pristine placement of a barrier to stop EPL's Earth Shatter. It was just exactly where it needed to be when it needed to be. Here comes the attack, though. No swaps coming from the Florida Harmony, which at this point, given how many times triple tank hasn't worked, you probably want to switch. Pulse Bomb might come out soon, as Despacho tries to focus down the Moira. She does go down to Rebecca Joe. Maybe you won't even need Pulse Bomb, as the picks are coming through regardless. Dragon actually finishes off Skip Bayless, and they are getting... NYXD is pushing Florida Harmony all the way back to spawn. This is pretty brutal. They have 1 attempt left to push, and with Reinhardt still respawning, this is going to be very difficult. They've got the ultimates. This has to be their time. No Aim needs to be using the barrier already. He's just going to the point. That was such a late barrier that his tanks didn't get it. This is going to cause the Florida Harmony to lose that last fight. And it is going to go in favor of the NYXD after they get these final pickups. Tempt is going to do his best, but it will not be enough. Hunkrat goes down, followed by Temps. DPL is coming in, though. The tank reinforcements are here, but Rebecca Joe still holding onto this Coalescence. Does go through barriers, so could finish off the Reinhardt. Despacho gets pick after pick after pick, and now it's just No Aim left.
First round, 1.
Florida Harmony needed that barrier from Lucio as they left that choke point. The fact that he used it so late was devastating to his team, as only he and Tracer got the barriers, and the tanks were just left to feed NYXD. Looks like we're gonna swap off some tanks outside of NYXD. Not sure if this composition is going to stay, as Winston Zarya doesn't quite have any synergy. Florida Harmony is actually going to stick on to Roadhog and Reinhardt. They are going to drop Zarya in favor of Tracer and Wolfie. Or, no, Tracer was already there, but Wolfie's going to swap off to the Genji. Florida Harmony is going to opt to fight from the point. And NYXD is actually sticking to Zarya Winston. The only synergy that this has is that Winston can jump in, get a bubble from Zarya to give her charge, and then hopefully just survive with that. Otherwise, there's no ultimate combinations you can run with those tanks. So there's some synergy, but not as much as, say, a Reinhardt. But it is working out, as NYXD does take the first capture. And NYXD is again just pushing the spawn. Xenofan gets 2. And he's really got to be the character to watch now, as this is going to be a devastating choke point. Poor Florida Harmony is playing from their spawn. Xenofan does have a tire. Interesting to see when he uses it. EPL's half health even though he's right next to the spawn door. This is just devastating. Looks like Xenofan might be looking to use that tire. Pulsimo does come out but misses. And there's a Graviton. Xenofan doesn't need to use tire. Despacho gets a quad. Wolfie gets Rebecca Joe and he's going to try and contest the point, but for how long? He's going to try and make it out alive, but he knows he's being chased by both Lucio and Tracer. At this point, yep, he just needs to reset. He needs to come back to his team. This is absolutely brutal from the NYXD. I think the smartest thing for Florida Harmony right now would be to switch to probably a Reaper and a Pharah. That'll stop the Junkrat and try and rip these tanks up. Trades do come out though, but it does look like Florida Harmony is finally in the lead. The healing from Junkrat is enough to keep the tanks alive as he is doing exceptionally well, but EPL does go down despite that. He just takes so much damage. They need to focus this Winston down. He's on the supports. He finally does go down, but at 82% and counting, they're going to need to take this point now. We're going to need the barriers at this next fight, I would assume, but they actually take it without contesting. Now they need to hold it for a while. EPL does have Earth Shatter, which could be enough. Tempt does have a very good zoning ultimate. They need to space out these ultimates so that they can hold this point as long as possible, as once they lose the point, if they lose the point, they will only have one more chance. Tire does come out though. Right onto 3 of them. That's going to be a retake on the side of NYXD, and way too late barriers from Lucio. I know he wants to contest the point, but with just him, he is going to lose it no matter what, and that would have been better for the next team fight. That being said, I take it back. That is maybe exactly what Wolfie needed. He does go down, but he got 3 with his blade. They're still holding on to this point, getting the percent up and up. I thought the barrier might not have been a great idea, but it gave Wolfie the chance to go ham, as it's still counting up for the side of Florida Harmony. Temp still has Deadeye. Can still zone him out. He does survive Kmart Kaiser. And with this positioning, he is getting these picks. Junkrat is down, so the healing is limited, especially for EPL, who has got so low health. No Aim is doing his best. But in fact, thanks to No Aim's barriers, they were able to hold on to this and get it at a very close percent. This is definitely looking much better for the Florida Harmony. Earthshard does get blocked though, but a great flashbang gets the shielding Kmart Kaiser. Deadeye does come out and gets Rebecca Joe. He does get taken out by Xenofan in the back. But surely Florida Harmony will be able to hold on to this. Dragon does go down, so they need to get Meat Chip. Tire's gonna come through and get EPL. But with another blade coming out from Wolfie, and No One getting a double kill, this is actually gonna be a point for Florida Harmony. Barriers for fun, as they assuredly take this point. A slap of the hook is gonna take out Xenofan before he can contest, and that was a great showing from the Florida Harmony. And now we are off to the Gardens. I again do expect a Far Mercy, or at least a Far Yada from both teams. Xenofan knows what's up. He's going to play the Pharah. Doesn't look like we're going to get a Pharah from the Florida Harmony, though, as Tempt is going to opt for just an anti-Pharah. He's going to go on the McCree and make sure that Pharah can't do anything more than usual. The thing about Xenofan, though, on NYXD is that, look at his healers. He doesn't even have a Zenyatta. He has no, like, targeted healing. Lucio, if he's under Xenofan, can heal Pharah. But look at this, just from, like, the rocket jump. Xenofan is not getting healed. He is uncontested though, it seems. As he's just getting a lot of damage. He doesn't need healing apparently, as the picks are coming in.
The objective is
As I did not realize, but Tempt is actually on the Tracer instead of the McCree. There is nothing to stop Xenofan at the moment. Tempt does reset, perhaps for a switch. But despite the lack of healing for the Pharah, it's more than enough for Xenofan to get these picks and damage. Tempt does switch over to the McCree, which is exactly what they need, and immediately gets a headshot and a body shot. Xenofan's at half health. One more shot would have been enough, but he doesn't get it, but he gets right-click headshot. That's rough. Sometimes there's nothing you can do against Roadhog, it feels like. Xenofan's getting ult, has ult with a 5v6. This would be devastating. Skip Bayless actually gets meat chip though, that's huge. Xenofan's in a good spot and actually boops off EPL. Here comes the barrage. Gets one, gets two. Moira's low. And this is going to be a quick stop to the Harmony. Skip Bayless was about to feed by healing more. Luckily, NYXD killed him before he could. And now EPL is out here pretty much alone. This is you want to regroup at this kind of fight after losing so many people, especially after getting booped off like that, because he died so early. That was just 500 health that didn't need to be given. Wolfie finishes Kmart Kaiser off though. And Skip Bayless gets meat champ. That's both tanks down. If there's a time to push, it is now. But now is the time that they're regrouping. Xenofan boops off Tempt again. They definitely should not be using the bridge with the Pharah. And they've switched Wolfie onto the Soldier. They've just been having so much trouble with Pharah. He runs over the Earth Shatter, but he gets immediately hooked and taken out. And at 99%, is there anything that Florida Harmony can do? EPL's just swinging away, but that's it. There's nothing. That was just a shutout from Kmart Kaiser and the rest of his team. And there's a Flying Cowboy.
play of the game.
Spacho's gonna pick up play of the game. The triple kill in the Graviton. Quad kill, rather. As he goes off to finish off the team. Skip Bayless having none of it. No, such good synergy from Despacho's Tracer and the Zarya. Hunkrat doing his best to keep his team alive. Over 1,000 healing a minute is very good for any healer, Moira especially. But unfortunately, it was not enough to keep the team in there. And that's going to be Game 3 to the NYXD. That game was closer. It didn't seem like it round 3. But the fact that Florida actually took round 2 was very good for them. It showed that they still had it in them to win a game. Unfortunately, they had some suspect issues with the enemy Pharah, who didn't even have healing. That's the craziest part. If they had switched to a Widow or switched to a... I mean, they had hit scan. I don't know what the problem was. Perhaps it was the Pharah's positioning was just that good, but the pick on the Pharah just wasn't happening. Hooks were getting grabbed onto the Harmony that would kill them before the fight even began. That stuff, you don't want to go on the bridge if there's a Pharah and you don't have a Pharah. You definitely want to go to that back area behind the point more often than not. But then again, that is a choke point for Pharah. They really just didn't seem to have the right counters, but they had the counters, so I'm not sure why Pharah was able to be so uncontested for as long as she was. Despacho's Tracer was doing a lot of work as well. That Zarya Tracer combo was very good. That is the point they lost, though. Florida Harmony actually took that one back, thanks to No Aim's barriers and Wolfie's Dragon Blade holding on to that point longer than they perhaps should have had NYXD taken that fight. So they're getting better. They're getting closer. unfortunately, they did lose the match, and they are going to play one more map on Payload, I believe. So we will see where we are going. We are going to go to a short break, though, so we will be back soon. Welcome back. Our last map is going to be Watchpoint Gibraltar, and after clarification, we are running the Community Cup preseason map pool. The options were Gibraltar or Dorado, and Gibraltar is where we are going to go. One of the classic payload maps, one that I actually forget about often because it's so inoffensive rather. Definitely a lot of verticality. You're going to want to run dive, no matter what you're running. Defense, you have a little bit more flexibility because it's really where you hold. Once you're up there, you don't really have to get up there when you're on defense. So you can run Ryan's Aria, anti-dive Orisa Hog. Otherwise, on attack, you definitely want to run some kind of dive to get up to the high ground on the first, second, and third phase. Third phase, a little bit looser. The thing you want to worry about the most is a Widow on the high grounds. Both the bridges in the back and like over the point are definitely something you want to worry about. If you can contest that Widow, you don't particularly need dive, but it's still a good thing to have just in case. In the hangars, you definitely want that verticality as well as the first phase. So it'll be interesting to see what the teams run. We are waiting on one last player, though. We can move over and see how they're doing. There has been no change in the icon meta. There don't seem to be any switches on NYXD or Florida Harmony either. Kmart Kaiser was removed temporarily but then restored. Despacho, Dragon, Xenofan, Rebecca Joe, and Meat Chip are still in for the side of NYXD. Meanwhile, we still have EPL, Hunkrat, Wolfie, No Aim, Skip, Bayless, and Tempt. It'll be interesting to see what supports Florida Harmony runs when they're attacking, because No Aim definitely seems to be a Lucio player. So it'll be interesting to see if they do want to keep the Lucio on the payload, because that's something you can run, especially in dive, if you want to go out and snag kills on targets. But I know a lot of teams will opt for Moira instead, just to make sure that there's someone on the payload doing a lot of healing. You saw that flash, you heard that sound, you know that this game is coming soon.
Arriving at Watchpoint Gibraltar.
We are indeed, Athena. We are arriving at WP-G. And we are starting here in Winston's office. We can see his energy drinks and ramen. And astounding amounts of peanut butter. Due to his genetic engineering, his genius intellect, and the fact that he has a bowl of ramen and energy drinks, it is easy to assume that Winston is in fact a weeaboo. There he is. This is his office after all. Does look like the Florida Harmony are going to run a modified dive with Tempt on the Widow. Widow's very good on this map. There's a lot of long sight lines that she can use. Alternatively, we're going to have Xenofan on the Hanzo. He's going to get sights, see who he's going to expect as he punches the NYXL icon into the ground. We're going to see Reinhardt Diva, which is an interesting combination, both protection and the dive aspect. But Reinhardt will not be able to dive with him. But as I said, once he's already up here on the high ground, he doesn't have to worry about getting up there again. The only thing he'll have to do is back up later. Now, it's unclear if they know, but Wolfie is here. Although he is getting a little bit bullied by Diva, and he does have to back away. The person to watch here is going to be Tempt, who does get a shot onto the Winston. Kmart Kaiser's shield is facing the wrong way. Gets a body shot onto Dragon, unable to finish that kill. And the kills are actually coming in for the NYXD. The payload is still moving, though, and it's going to get stuck under this bridge. Oof, a big shot onto Kmart Kaiser, but he does get healed up, and Meat Chip does take out Tempt. The payload is right here. But if they can hold here at this point, that's all they'll need.
Make yourselves useful. Move the payload.
Widow demanding people on the payload. which is ironic to say the least. Despacho already takes down EPL. And it's going to be up to Temp to try and get these picks. Otherwise, Temp needs to switch off. He's got 2/3 of his ult, but it's one of the least impactful ults in the game. He may need to switch to be more effective. Skip Bayless seems to be having some issues out here. As the kills just keep coming in for the NYXD. Maybe they can get this Diva demech. Meat Chip is looking worse for wear, but not before getting EPL. And now it's a very strange 1v1 between a frog and a bunny, as finally No Aim gets, I believe, the first pick onto the NYXD. Wolfie does have ult though, and Tempt is sticking on the Widow. This could cause a lot of mayhem. That may be what Tempt needs to get some shots. They're coming up the stairs. Winston uses his bubble. But no Dragon Blade yet. And NYXD gets 2 more picks, a 3rd onto Skip Bayless. And a suspect ult from Despacho. Maybe he just wanted to reload. Maybe he was doing a Pine. He does get the final shot onto Tempt though, thanks to Zenyatta's Discord Orb. Meat Chip is able to get back, and this is just a brutal first point hold. The fact that the payload has not gone past the bridge, and the fact that NYXD can still confidently hold from up here on this high ground, means that Florida Harmony is just having so much trouble breaking this defense. They do have the ult advantage though. EPL jumps past his barrier though. That's not what you want to do. You want to land and then use barrier. As he was able to get taken out due to that mistake. The payload is actually backed up behind the bridge. It's slowly returning from whence it came. Meat Chip gets Hunkrat. It is just not looking good. Meat Chip does get taken out of mech, but gets a new one because of its ultimate. And EPL actually goes down. Tempt has a Discord Orb. Meat Chip escapes with his mech intact. The only character down on the side of NYXD is Xenofan. Tempt has switched to the Tracer. A very late switch that should have happened a long time ago. Oof. The recall is going to get Tempt out of that situation though. A lot of this is going to come down to Wolfie and how well he uses his blade that he's been sitting on for at least 2 minutes. Although at this point it does look like the kills are coming in before he can get to them. He does get Dragon though. Now it's just the tanks on the side of NYXD. Xenofan gets a Sonar headshot on Tracer. He can definitely see that dead body now. And Wolfie's going to try and push ahead and try and stop the enemy team from contesting. Because they need to get this all the way to the end in overtime. Look at this. Meat Chip's still behind them. With almost ult too. Putting a Diva Bomb on top of the point would be devastating as it forces the enemy team to hide under the payload or behind sight lines. It is ready though, and the picks are coming in for NYXD, and this might be a full hold. And indeed, not even a single point for the Florida Harmony. Absolutely brutal.
Score 0-0. Switching sides.
Well, Florida Harmony was looking better in their King of the Hill showing. It does look like they've run entirely out of steam, as NYXD will only have to move the payload past this bridge and right here in front of checkpoint A. Florida Harmony's going to have to run an astounding defense to make sure that doesn't happen, as this drone only has to go so far. NYXD is going to run, it would seem, a Reinhardt and a Mei. That'll be interesting to see if that pick stays or if Xenofan's just having a little bit of fun. Alternatively, Florida Harmony is going to run an anti-dive with a Pharah Mercy. Perhaps they're expecting a lot of tanks, a lot of barriers. as Tempt is going to play behind the Orisa barrier, and Skip Bayless is going to try and get whatever hooks possible to get some picks and stop any progress. Pharah and Bastion can be an interesting duo. It's going to be up to Tempt to break down any barriers while Pharah gets the final blows, or other way around, weaken down the tanks so that Tempt and his 500 damage a second can finish off targets. This barrier is going to make it pretty difficult for Meat Chip to get any headshots. But he's going to see what he can do.
Escort the payload.
He sees everyone behind that barrier. Oh, but the Maywall actually gets it. Excuse me. Actually makes it so Kmart Kaiser can get up onto that bridge. That's incredibly smart. The fact that a Reinhardt can be dive in the situation is crazy. Dragon does find the final kill onto Tempt. And while they are not going to win this fight outright, that's going to be definitely a hindrance to the defense, as they're going to have to wait for Bastion to get back. EPL is actually going to get tested on his own. Now Skip Bayless is helping, and the Moira is here to help heal. But to drop alone against this kind of team is not a good idea. Kmart Kaiser does get hooked out of Earthshatter, though. Skip Bayless expertly gets that hook. And now it's just Dragon on the payload, as well as Rebecca Joe, both healers. What is a Roadhog to do? This is a good position for Bastion, assuming that no one jumps from above to take him out. Especially someone like Despacho, who has Pulse Bomb already. This could be devastating if it lands on Tempt. It might even get EPL in the process if they're playing close together. Xenophan switched on to Doomfist. Always a pleasure to watch and hell to play against. Well, a nice boost jump. Despacho does get both EPL and Tempt. They were playing close together. That's why the Discord on the Moira, it's not going to be enough. Tempt does get rezzed and is ulting, but with the Discord orb, it's not going to be enough, and NYXD is just going to finish this map, a 4-0 series. This is a scrim as part of the preseason. It's not, it does not affect the seeding at all for the first stage. But it's a good time for Florida Harmony to go back to the drawing board and see what they need to work on, as NYXD had such a good time just kind of ripping them apart. Like, I do not mean to be rude, but this was certainly one-sided, this game for perhaps Florida Harmony, knowing that they had lost the set. Didn't want to put in too much effort, but it was just a stomp through and through. That being said, I will see you later tonight for the, I believe, Ping Sox versus Mortals. The LA Mortals versus the Pyeongchang Ping Sox. Until then, I will see you later.